Horry County's hoping these changes don't make people too mad. Record-setting is a term that's being thrown around quite a bit at MYR right now, and that's not just for Memorial Day weekend, that's for the summer as a whole. What we have here isn't Rosie the robot from the Jetsons, but it is Rosa, the knee replacement robot. It's been 53 weeks since these guys were able to take their soul to the stage at Legends in Concert in Myrtle Beach and eventually have 12 on tap. In Myrtle Beach, Zach Wilcox, WMBF News. You guys got any left for opening day?
We do. What are you looking for?
I'll take one.
All right, there we are.
Thank you so much. The Myrtle Beach Pelicans tickets are on sale again, and some fans are excited to get back in the swing of things. This is a new look at MYR this summer. You can see these theater-style roped lines here behind TSA. There's also some yellow rope lines that they've set up. I was here on Monday, they were out, they got some, and now they're back out again. I know we're all kind of sick of seeing these bags stuck on the pumps. He was telling me he was behind his house feeding some of the fish that he has in his fish pond about a half a mile away when he heard some explosions coming from this barn behind me. Here we are years later, and it looks a little bit like a post-apocalyptic wasteland out here. You can see a sign over my left shoulder and a little bit of one over my right shoulder as well. Said he had no idea those signs were there. You can see behind me the extent of the damage, and it's really fortunate that no one was hurt when you see just how much of the middle of that building was burned. Bobby Pappas was stationed at the Long Bin Ammunition Depot just outside of Saigon when he got word that his best friend was in the country. Bobby's best friend Chicky was on a mission to have a beer with several friends from their New York neighborhood that were all fighting all over Vietnam.
I mean, he was running around a countryside that was going crazy at the time, and he just didn't seem to care, you know, and so I did all the worrying for him.
Bobby Pappas has plenty of memories from his days in Vietnam, not all of them pleasant, but his favorite was the day he saw his best friend, Chicky Donahue, show up just to grab a beer with him.
He was the first thought of me ever going over there when I felt sad that here he was in his early 20s and he was married with a baby and he's drafted and sent off to that war.
Donahue had already spent time in the Marines and was too old to be drafted by the time Vietnam rolled around. He knew his friends from the neighborhood in New York could use a morale boost, so he spent 2 months on a boat to get there with a sack of beer in hand and wound up visiting 4 of his friends, all stationed at different parts of the country.
I only had 6 guys on the list. Richie Reynolds, I believe, was killed while I was over there. I never did get to him. Joe McFadden was sent home because of malaria, but the other 4 guys I fortunately found.
Chicky recently wrote a book about the whole experience called The Greatest Beer Run Ever, and that was published today, just in time for Veterans Day. With the book, and soon-to-be movie, Bobby's able to look back and smile at the most memorable beer of his life, and the friend that crossed the world to drink it with him.
I consider it one of the highlights of my life, that he took that risk. And I don't think he really knew what he was getting into when he took it, but he did take the risk. He didn't give up, even though, you know, everything that was going on over there. And then to keep going, you know, he didn't give up, he kept going, you know, and it's a feat in itself, you know.
Bobby says production on the movie was a little delayed because of the coronavirus pandemic, but 2-time Oscar winner Peter Farrelly is writing and directing it, and Bobby says so far Ryan Gosling, Chris Hemsworth, and Viggo Mortensen have all expressed interest in being in it. And he says out of that group, he doesn't care which one of them plays it. By early 2023, we could see people driving on this road, but now I guess I gotta back out of here because I got nowhere else left to go. When people arrive at the Government and Justice Center in Conway, they assume that the sidewalks will be clean and the trash won't be overflowing. Well, the hangout was tentatively planned to fill this grassy area behind me at some point in 2020. Obviously, those plans got delayed by the pandemic. And don't let the leather jackets or sunglasses fool you. This biker crew is full throttle for a very important cause. Well, cars parked like mine that are kind of hanging out in the street a little bit are becoming more and more common in certain areas of North Myrtle Beach. He's taken sandbags to the next level. Now, I'm about 5.5 feet tall, so you can see just how tall this concrete wall is. Myrtle Beach Police actually programmed its pattern into Google and Waze, so that if I Google directions to the Funplex, for example here, you can see that it shows me which intersections are blocked off. There really hasn't been much to talk about the past couple of years, at least since 2019, which is why it probably still looks so deserted around here still. But the owners are optimistic they can find a new face for this property, and the only thing set in stone is that it won't be another attempt at an amusement park.
Hey, what up, world? It's your boy Sway. Right now I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the unveiling of the Hard Rock Park.
From a spot on MTV to an eyesore on the commute to work. The site of 2 amusement park experiments in Horry County has sat vacant for years. Property owners sound ready to put the final nail in the amusement park coffin.
I think we all have finally recognized that Fantasy Harbor was aptly named because it was a fantasy that it would be those uses. So the demand seems to be much more consistent for the type of uses that we're looking at now.
The last development at Freestyle Music Park was back in 2019. The idea was to have about a third of the property rezoned from amusement to a distribution district. That left the rest still zoned to become something amusement related, but the owners of the property, FTPP Bishop Parkway LLC, want to broaden their horizons. They now want to zone the rest of the property to become a part of that distribution district.
The thought was we'll amend for the distribution district and then come back with the individual projects for site plan approval.
That zoning would open up the 125 acres to all kinds of different uses. That includes typical things like residential or commercial retail, to even indoor agriculture or aquaculture. The goal is to renovate the property in phases, then market to a wide variety of potential businesses. And the property owners sound like they already have a few in mind.
We do have 2 current users who we will most likely be coming back with site plans for those 2 uses within the next 60 to 90 days.
So this project's still in the early phases, but the only pushback so far has actually come from the Horry County Department of Airports. This property is right in line with where planes come over to start their descent into MYR, so the FAA advises against anything that could gather large groups of people. The Planning Commission can vote on the rezoning of this in 2 weeks. In Horry County, Zach Wilcox, WMBF News.